Welcome to Man at the Tap, a podcast of Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna. It nourishes our souls, fostering spiritual growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Today is Friday, February the 13th, 2026, in the fifth week after Epiphany. The lectionary reading is from the New Testament book of Hebrews, chapter 11, which lists individuals from the Old Testament who exemplified a life of faith. The author described faith as trusting in what we hope for and being certain of what we do not see. The lectionary reading includes verses 23 to 28 of Hebrews chapter 11, which recounts the story of Moses' faith. The story started with his parents. They lived in Egypt when the Pharaoh issued an edict requiring that every newborn Hebrew boy be thrown into the Nile River. The couple already had two children, a daughter named Miriam and a son named Aaron, and they were expecting again. The parents hid their son Moses for the first 3 months, and then, trusting in faith, they placed him in a basket on the Nile River while his sister watched over him. Pharaoh's daughter discovered the child, and instead of following her father's command, she took Moses out of the Nile and adopted him as her own. As Moses grew older, he made a conscious choice to reject his identity as Pharaoh's grandson and to embrace his Hebrew heritage, aligning himself with his suffering ancestors enslaved by the Egyptians, thereby demonstrating an act of faith. The author goes on to explain that Moses valued suffering alongside with his own people more than remaining silent and enjoying Egypt's wealth because he anticipated a future reward. Although Moses initially feared Pharaoh's response after he killed an Egyptian who was attacking a Hebrew, the author shows that Moses eventually departed from Egypt because he was more afraid of God. It would be 40 years after leaving Egypt that God called Moses to return. By faith, the author tells us, Moses established the Passover, instructing all the Hebrew people to sprinkle the blood of a stained lamb on the outside of their homes. At the same time, they were to gather inside to eat the Passover feast together. That night, when the destroyer passed through Egypt, he would pass over any house that had the blood on its outside, freeing everyone inside from slavery.